Welcome back, folks. You'll notice that the video has a slightly different title tonight, and that's because, once again, the starting 11 prediction is an absolute sideshow, let's be honest. We talked back in November about a dereliction of duty in terms of how the board were dealing with the avoidance of the decision to remove the manager right in the middle of that terrible run that we had, where we had 2 wins in the space of 12 games. But if that's what it was then, what is it now? There is absolutely no justification here as to why Neil Lennon is still the manager. There's not one rational reason, one rational point of view. You can't put yourself in anybody's shoes and go, oh, that's why he's still there. People talk today about, they just don't want to pay the money, the money to pay the remainder of his contract up. I mean, if that's what it is, for the sake of what? His contract, if it's a rolling yearly contract, can only have 4 or 5 months left. And they're willing to risk whether we're going to finish second or maybe third. Because, let's be honest, if things continue the way they are and Neil Lennon stays in charge, it might be unlikely. You might think right now it's unlikely, but we could end up finishing third. That's how bad this situation is. In January, we had 1 win in 6 games. And we've still not had a word for the club after they told us they would review the manager's position in New Year. Still not a word. Celtic have failed to win in 16 of their last 24 games. Then Neil Lennon says at the weekend, after blaming the players almost single-handedly, taking no responsibility for this situation, as he hasn't done all season, he said that he's had a few difficult conversations about his job recently. What is happening with these conversations? Is he managing to talk the board round? Is he managing to convince Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond on his Zoom calls that it's the players' fault? If only the players wanted to be here. If only COVID wasn't here. If only the fans were in the stadium. If only the media weren't out to get me. Is he honestly telling the same excuses to the board and the board are believing him? Or the board showing sentimentality? Are they being lenient to him because they like him? Why else are they keeping him here? Whatever is going on here, it is clear that the Celtic board are making exceptions for Neil Lennon. The decision to remove him from his job should have been taken months ago, but yet here we are, still burying their heads in the sand, still ignoring the will of the supporters, and still driving the standards of this football club through the floor. All the evidence back in November showed you that this manager and this coaching staff couldn't turn this situation around. It was gone. That's what happens in football. Anybody who watches football can see it. That's why clubs change the manager after long runs of bad form, because the morale is so low that manager can't change it. They don't respond to his messages anymore. He can't motivate them. He certainly can't coach them. And the evidence of all of that was there in October and November. And here we are now. After failing to win in 16 in the last 24 games, 1 win in 6 in January, we've just lost to St Mirren at the weekend at Celtic Park, and he's still in a job, and he still has the affront to come out into every single press conference and act incredulous as if he can't understand why anyone is asking him a question about his position or about whether he's going to leave as well as Peter Lawwell, as if he can't understand that. It's an absolute disgrace, and he's ruined his Celtic legacy, in my opinion. Anybody who watches this channel knows that I didn't want him here in the first place. And then, back in October and November, when plenty of people still wanted him to remain the manager, I was very vocal in wanting him to go. But even people who would have defended Neil Lennon to their dying breath are now fed up with him. They want him to go. You can see that on social media, everybody you talk to. But he's still there. And people want to talk last week about Peter Lawwell's legacy and how brilliant it is and how much he's achieved. Do me a favour, man. Honestly, gaze a break. So in terms of the team, it's back to the good old November starting 11 predictions. I'm just going to read out 11 names because, let's be honest, the fact that Neil Lennon's in the dugout means it doesn't matter who the 11 players are. It honestly doesn't matter. We'll see the same thing that we've been seeing for 4 or 5 months now, and we might even get beat. We're facing a Kilmarnock side who have been in a bad run of form themselves, but guess what they've done? They've replaced the manager. They sacked Alex Dyer at the weekend. That's how it works. But no for us. No for us. We just keep a failing manager here months and months and months after it was clear that he's got absolutely no ability to turn this round. That's Celtic this season, and it's a dangerous precedent that the club are setting. So here you go in terms of the team. In goals, I'm going to go Bain. Right back, Ayer. Centre half, Welsh and Beaton. Left back, Taylor. In midfield, Sorrow, McGregor, Turnbull and Rogic. And up front, Lee Griffiths and Odsonne Edouard. That's just 11 names. 11 names that will perform the same way they've performed all season because the manager's still the same. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you tomorrow after the game for the usual joyous live full-time reaction. Cheers.